Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very fortunate to have with us Mrs. Sylvia England, chairperson of Juneteenth of Lake County, Illinois. Good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning, Dr. Brooks.
We're very happy to have you with us. This is not your first time, you're no stranger here in the studio. But as far as Juneteenth is concerned, I was thinking there's people that make things happen, and there are people that watch things happen, and there are others that wonder what's happening. So you're in a category that make things happen, and you had the responsibility of making things happen to let Lake County know about Juneteenth. Lake County is approximately, 750,000 to 800,000 people, but I don't know how many up this Sunday morning listen to the program, but I understand we have a pretty good audience. Sylvia, I want you to tell us, we hear so much about Juneteenth, especially this time of year. Give us a little history about Juneteenth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brooks, for having me here this morning. And you say that there's people that make things happen, and then those that watch things happen, and then those that wonder what happened.
Right.
Well, first of all, I want to start by thanking the people that made Juneteenth happen this past weekend. My co-chair, Dr. Shipley, the stage manager, Andrew Gatson, along with Rochelle Shipley, the chair for the marketplace, Akima Reed and Arlene Day. We had, and first and foremost, I should have mentioned the fact that Waukegan Park District gave us the opportunity to be in the park and have the celebration in the park. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Waukegan Park District. And then I would like to also say thank you to the Waukegan Public Library, because they came and they were very instrumental in providing a children's corner for us. So thank you very much to both the Park District and to Waukegan Public Library. I want to also thank Ty Rohr. He was the contact person for the Park District, along with Eric Mayfield, and he was there to help as far as the grounds were concerned. As I think of anyone who I have missed, I will come back and give a shout out to them also. But those were the people who made it happen this year, along with, of course, Ron McAllister, putting out signs for us and helping us with the marketing. So Juneteenth this year was quite a celebration. So if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't there, you know what? I want you to be one of those people that come and watch.
And the rain didn't stop the show, huh?
The rain didn't stop the show. We were able to have an awesome main stage. Our vendors, we had lots of vendors. We had demonstrators. I want to give a shout out to Yolanda Sherrard, who was back in the back, helping people understand how to put together quilts. So with that, I just want to say the Juneteenth celebration across the country was such an awesome event, from the top of the United States to the bottom of the United States, specifically Texas, and on into Toronto. So Toronto also had a great celebration this year for Juneteenth. But as you know, Juneteenth was a Jubilee Day, just like January 1st, 1863. That was a Jubilee Day for enslaved people. But 2.5 years later, the news got to Galveston, Texas, and that became their Jubilee Day.
Why did it take so long for the news to get to Galveston, Texas?
There's a lot of back and forth about why. One of the historians, Henry Louis Gates, he went in and he gave an account of what he thought happened. So what I did was I went and I pulled some articles because I wanted to find out what would take anyone 2.5 years to do. So here's a couple things that I found. And I'm giving it to you right off the article. And it says, number one, it says, though much of the language of the Emancipation suggests otherwise, Lincoln's primary objective was not to ameliorate the lives of those in bondage. Rather, his intent was preserving the Union. So August 1862, Horace Greeley, the editor of the New York Tribune, published an editorial that was addressed to Lincoln, pressuring his stance on slavery and urging him to abolish it. So here's what a couple people said. Number one, that Colonel Gordon, and I'm just trying to make sure I give you the right names.
Okay.
Union Army's Major General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, and that he declared that all the slaves were free. Okay, so think about that. What happened was that the Civil War ended. Before that time, there's a possibility that people could not get into Texas. You know, Texas had some crops that they had to get harvested. So I can just imagine somebody saying, "Nope, you're not going in there. You're not going to tell them that they're free. We have some work for them to do." So until the Civil War ended and Major General Gordon Granger could get into Texas, they couldn't tell them. I mean, they couldn't get in and say, "You're free." So there was a couple things. You know, the fact that the Civil War ended and they were able to get in and take the troops in to make it happen. Possibly Texas was keeping them out because they really wanted to finish their crops for that year. I mean, it could have been anything, but 2.5 years, that's a lot, Dr. Brooks. That's a lot.
Yeah, there wasn't email and Facebook and so forth, you know, to get the word out. But what you're saying, there was not any special effort to get the information to the slaves. Well, you know, slavery came from a long ways. In the Constitution of the United States, one of the articles stated that slaves were only 3/5 of a person. Now, I never could figure out to this day how you're going to get 3/5 of a person, but it was for political reasons, you know, for that. Now, from the beginning of the Constitution, 1787, all the way to whether Lincoln had wanted to, the primary purpose was to free the slaves, another political purpose too. But he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which we know as executive orders now with the presidents. What is that? January the 1st, 1863, that slaves were free. And it wasn't, you mentioned not until the information got to Galveston, Texas, 2.5 years later that they were notified that they were free. Now, what happened after then? They traveled all the way from Texas up north, going to Canada, I guess, was the ultimate goal, because Canada didn't have any slaves, right?
But no, they didn't, technically.
well, yeah. Well, okay, but slaves traveled through Waukegan. Waukegan is a historical spot. As a matter of fact, in Gurnee, Illinois, there's a Mother Rudd home, you know, that people still can visit to see how the slaves were channeled into the basements during the daytime, and they would travel at night on their way to Canada. It's my understanding that the England Manor was one of the sites of the Underground Railroad, right?
Yes, Dr. Brooks. Yes. We're shifting to the England Manor. Presently, we're working on establishing a museum there because if you don't tell the history, then you don't know what happened before you came.
Okay.
So the England Manor is going to tell the history. And the title of the museum is Let Me Tell My Story. But can I regress just a few minutes and let's go back, and this is going to be a history lesson for you this morning.
Okay.
And I know it's Sunday morning, I know it's early, but guess what? I'm going to give you just a little bit more, because every year my goal is to give you just a little bit more than I gave you last year. And that's because I learn a little bit more every year. So if you think about it, back on September the 2nd, in 1862, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, notifying the states in rebellion against the Union that if they did not cease their rebellion and return to the Union by January 1st, 1863, he would declare their slaves forever free. Now, the proclamation did not apply to those slaveholding states that had not rebelled against the Union. As a result, about 800,000 slaves were unaffected by the provisions of the proclamation.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
So the proclamation was ignored, of course, by those states that seceded from the Union. It would take a civil war to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation, and it would take the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution to formally outlaw slavery in the United States.
Okay, now the date was June 19, right?
So June 19th, 1865 was Jubilee Day in Galveston, Texas.
Okay, and you celebrated it this year, June 15th, and that was a Saturday to make it convenient for people to come out.
Yes, June 15th was the National Juneteenth Day around the country. So everybody was celebrating on June the 15th this year. So on June 19th, which is tomorrow, the Waukegan Public Library is going to be having a large celebration for Juneteenth. So they'll be doing, they have posters up, they have books available. They're going to be doing some cooking demonstrations. I will talk about the England Manor and the Underground Railroad here in Waukegan. So we're planning on having a great day, a celebratory day tomorrow at Waukegan Public Library.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Mrs. Sylvia England, chairperson of Juneteenth, Lake County, Illinois. And Sylvia, I admire you to let Lake County know that it was not an individual thing. You had a committee, and you gave your committee, the recognition of helping you make this a success. And you had the Waukegan Park District played a vital part. Also, the Waukegan Public Library, which is having their celebration on June 19th.
Yes.
And everyone is invited to come. Now, mention the primary mission that you had was, but I'll let you tell us the primary mission of celebrating Juneteenth.
So the primary mission for the Juneteenth Lake County Committee was to rejuvenate cultural and economic growth in the African American community while stimulating harmonious living among all people across communities. So if you were there, you saw we had over 50 vendors.
Wow.
And one of the big things that we tried to do was bring out info vendors. We call them info vendors because they were bringing information to the community. So we had several information booths where they would come out and talk about, the services or the products that they have for the community. So,
okay, what I would like to do is share something with you. You may want to put in your museum or however you want to do. But we have many scholarships that are available for African Americans, but they don't apply for them. And I think probably because of lack of knowledge. But if this were in your museum, probably more would participate. But this is 200 scholarships that African Americans don't apply for, and like I said, it's probably because they are unaware. There's this little lead off with the Ron Brown scholarship and all the way down. So I hope that will be helpful to you because there's a little effort now. They have to apply, and everyone probably got a computer and they could go through and go online and apply.
So Dr. Brooks, let me just say thank you so much for being here for the community to, be able to share information about, the different aspects or different businesses or, really what's happening here. These scholarships, this is like very, 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 very good information because just this morning I was speaking with someone who was talking about they were raising money for young women to go back to school this year.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm getting ready I'm not going to just call her and say, I got a whole list. I'm going to go through and I'm going to pull out scholarships and I'm going to say, well, what is that young lady or young men? What are the young men? What are they interested in?
Okay.
And let's pair up. I'm really going to work. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. I am going to work hard at pairing up these scholarships with African American students.
Because you mentioned in one of your objectives is to celebrate the diversity of the African American community by sharing the rich heritage of African Americans. In other words, I guess that's a separate program within itself. I have another pamphlet I didn't bring with me. It's a supplement showing 1,001 inventions by Black Americans.
Yes, and things that you don't even think about, like the remote control.
Okay.
That was one that I just read the other day where an African American, let me see if I can pull her up real quick, but she invented the remote control.
Okay.
I mean, how many of us think about that? Who invented the remote control? She invented the remote control.
And the filament of the lights, we wouldn't have lights if one African American hadn't invented the filament for lights, And there's 1,001. So the diversity is so important. I mentioned to you too, and I gave this to you before. There have been there were 5 African American presidents of the United States, but since there are 6 now, and I didn't bring the number down, but Dwight Eisenhower, Thomas Jefferson, Warren Harding, Abraham Lincoln, and there are many others that are not publicized.
I know one.
Okay, name one. Another one.
Obama.
Well, okay. Thank you very much. That'd be the 6th one that we had.
How smart I am.
I was going beyond in the back of it. Obama is one that everybody knows. Okay, now you had a main stage too that you had. You had to have entertainment, But tell us about the main stage that you had.
Well, I have to say thank you to everyone that was involved somehow with Juneteenth. But for our main stage, one of the people, and she is such a humble young lady, and you will hear her again. She is dynamite. But Janelle Glory, was our headliner, and I'm telling you, if she would have had that opportunity to sing, you would have heard her all over. She sounds like a songbird. So she was our headliner.
Okay.
But we brought in Robert Presley and Michael Hasty. They did drumming. Because that's where we came from. We came from drumming.
Okay.
That music.
It's all over the Caribbean too, right? It's all over.
Yes.
And there are other ethnic groups that are using that. And I think Elvis Presley one that was started using the
drums,
the African music, So music all over the world, So actually, this was from 10 until, was it 10?
We started at 11.
Oh, okay.
And by 3 o'clock, it was raining cats and dogs. So we did call it, but we did get a lot in before that time.
Mm-hmm.
We had Congressman Brad Snyder come out.
Oh, okay.
And he spoke. We had Peter Singali, and he came out and he did the libation ceremony for us.
Okay, that's very
because
important.
That's what Juneteenth is all about, is honoring our ancestors and giving them their due. So we had that. We had the Park District, come and say a few words. We had the executive director for the Waukegan Library. She came in and she gave us a greeting. So it was a great day.
You mentioned about Home Depot. They played a part in it too, right?
Yes, Home Depot came out and they were giving away. They had a raffle going on, and they also showed people how to make urban garden boxes. So they took pieces of wood and they put it together so that people could see it's that easy to do some gardening right on your porch. So yes, Home Depot was there. Oh, you know what? I could start naming.
Well, I get excited about you have a Lake County Museum that you were showcasing too, right?
The Haynes Museum was open that day. And so they were able to show, the Haynes house. But if you go up on the second floor, we do have a display up there of our African-American politicians.
Okay.
So you could see that if you go upstairs. But we did have a museum in the Lilac Cottage called the England Manor Underground Railroad Museum.
Okay.
Mr. Brooks, you keep going back to the England Manor Underground Railroad Museum.
Well, it's
so
history.
You want to know more? You want to know more about the museum, or do you want to finish with Juneteenth?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that the museum was highlighted, But
Yes.
tell us, now you did, it was highly publicized by, I saw so many people wearing T-shirts, Juneteenth T-shirts too, right?
Yes, we had T-shirts, and we do have T-shirts. If anybody still would like to have one, tomorrow is Juneteenth.
Okay.
Actually, let me back up. Tomorrow is not Juneteenth, not for the radio station.
Oh, that's right.
June the 19th. There will be a celebration. So that's this is going to air after that.
Right. One thing I love to share is in the community focus, always share diversity in our community. And so this is not just celebrating just the African American community, but our diverse community.
Yes.
That you send invitations to everyone to come out.
Yes.
And share.
Right.
To make it successful. Yeah. So cultural togetherness is one of the main features there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So actually, it was a successful event, and we just want to share with Lake County, the ones that didn't have a chance to participate, but maybe they still can participate in the Lake County Museum. Excuse me, and you in the England Manor, to come out, and hopefully that next year, Approximately how many people you think was shared
I would say this year.
on this rainy day? Well, it didn't rain till about 3:00, I guess, right?
Right. I would say this year at least 1,000 people, and then when the rain came, I think about 500 started running back to their car.
Right.
So at least 1,000, maybe 1,500. But I think people were waiting to come a little later, but the rain came before they did. So, you know what? I just have I have a few more people that if I don't call their name, I'm just going to feel bad for a long time.
Okay, this is your chance.
The president of the Park District, Mark Jones. I want to just say thank you, Mark, for everything that you did this year to make sure that this was a great celebration. I didn't mention Diana Wentz and Karina Martinez from the Waukegan Library. Vance Wyatt and Alonzo Jenkins, they ran the situational square where they talked about health and wellness, how to bridge the generational gap. And of course, by the time we got to increasing voter registration, the rain came. So we need to get back together and talk about some of these topics. Those were just a few. Definitely Mayor Sam Cunningham. He's always a great supporter of Juneteenth.
Yeah, you had experts in the field, moderators, and covering wellness. Wellness is very important.
Yes.
Wellness and why Black Lives Matter. And also I noticed that you had voter registration, too. You can, at all events that are shared in a county, voter registration has to be included. And you honored each year your elders too. You cannot forget your elders.
Yes.
And these are the ones that have brought us this far, and it's up to you to keep it going.
Yes.
So I guess that was the marketplace. People may not have heard of marketplace either. That was
yes. We had. For example, we had State Career School. We had Kim King. We had John Eidelberg. We had Josephine Honey. We had the Waukegan Fire Department. Thank you, Chief Bridges, for bringing the smokehouse out for us. That was awesome. We had, of course, the Historical Society. We had Angela's Unique Jewelry.
Oh.
We had Deb's Unique Closet. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We had Illini Care Health. We had Stick Talk Clothing, NAUW, Daryl Drummond. We had Evelyn Asi Karamu, who had a food booth that had outstanding food. You will hear more about her coming.
I guess we could go on and on and on. There was storytelling, crafts, games, canvas painting, and so forth, too, that you had to make it the day successful. Yes. Okay, Sylvia, I want to thank you very much for taking time to give us a review of what happened, to let Lake County know what happened on Juneteenth. And if they want to go to their computers and check Juneteenth, and they will get more information about it to let us know that we may have come over here on different ships, but we're in the same boat together now. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Community Focus. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.